Part 73. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wangshi-san. Chapter 722. In the original Takezu, there were many kinds of teleportation arrays. But in reality, only private teleportation arrays can work. However, if the private teleportation array is large enough, it can also be a public teleportation array. To make teleportation arrays and teleportation stones, a material called energy crystal is needed, and insect pills can replace this material, and the effect is better. Now the new headquarters of the world government covers a large area. All the streets and open spaces inside are hidden with the same teleportation array. The leaders, marshals, generals, and even all the soldiers of the world government will get corresponding teleportation stones. Of course, the leaders of the countries under the world government also have teleportation stones. P.S. The world leader is taken by the leaders of the countries in turn, and the people of the world are watching. If they don't do a good job, they will step down the world leader, and the leaders of the countries have the same qualifications, but the former has more say. Then, no matter where they are, they can teleport back to the headquarters at any time. And this is just the first step for the Earth to enter the era of superpowers. Next, the world government will unite all countries to build new cities with stronger defenses and teleportation functions, greatly enhancing the survival ability of all mankind in the end times. For example, if the Zerg invades City A, people can teleport to City B. Even if the Zerg invades Country A, people teleport to Country B. In the future, this kind of thing is likely to happen. Just talking about the present. Although the alien Zerg failed in its first invasion of the Earth, the total number of people on Earth has been reduced by more than half, and some countries, such as ancient Egypt, have been completely destroyed and no longer exist. Therefore, for the world government, it is urgent to unite all countries to build new cities and improve the survival ability of mankind. Otherwise, in the future when the alien Zerg continues to invade, humans will lose their dominant position on Earth, become the food of the Zerg, become a rare life, or even completely extinct, and become the dust of history. Night falls. The Marshal's Mansion and the General's Mansion are being urgently prepared. In the past few days, I can only ask you to bear with it and live in the guest room, a school officer said to Yang Tian and others. This school officer is only at the level of Saint King. And the weakest of the people present are all in the second level of the divine realm. What a beautiful moon! Yang Tian looked at the starry sky and suddenly sighed. Everyone followed suit and sighed inexplicably. In recent years, everyone has been struggling in the game. In a blink of an eye, the game was shut down, the world changed drastically, and no one knew what the future would be like. Okay, tonight we will watch the moon in the square and get drunk together. Colonel, go buy some wine, someone shouted. This. The school officer looked embarrassed. This square is also a military stronghold. How can you drink and have fun? Go buy it. It's rest time now, and they haven't officially joined the job yet, Jin Tong said. After being educated by Yang Tian, his attitude changed. In today's world, fists are the truth. Yes, Marshal, the school officer hurried away. After a while, a large amount of fine wine was transported over in cars. This is secular wine, which does not contain spiritual power. If the people present are not drunk in their hearts, they will not be drunk. If the heart is drunk, the person will be drunk. Obviously, at this moment, everyone is the most relaxed and emotional. In a moment, they are drunk, tongue-tied, and playful. Kaileen, why do you want to leave me? Jin Tong's face is ruddy, and he walks staggeringly. While drinking, he roars loudly. Kailan is extremely beautiful. Because of the blood of the lust snake, she is very wanton and charming, and can be called a beauty. There are countless men who have knelt under Kailan's pomegranate skirt. Kailan may not be in love with Jin Tong, but Jin Tong is in love with Kailan. Although he also cares about what Kylan does, he still can't cut off his love and can't let go of Kylan. Now that Kylan betrayed the world government and joined the Wu Kingdom, he felt very uncomfortable. On the other side, Yang Tian's original body finally finished. How is it, at this moment, Feng Xian's soul floated out. Yang Tian practiced for 22 days in a row, and Feng Xian also waited for 22 days. Yang Tian smiled slightly. Now, his divine power is still at the third level of the divine realm, but he has already comprehended the avenue of time. Of course, in addition to the avenue of time, he also comprehended the avenue of space and domineering. However, they only comprehended a little bit. Take domineering for example. The domineering that Yang Tian currently possesses is definitely ineffective against the strong in the divine origin realm, and even more ineffective against the strong in the divine king realm and the transformation realm. If you want to comprehend the mysteries of the avenue, you must have enough cultivation as a foundation. If you don't have enough cultivation, the mysteries of the avenue you comprehend are naturally limited. And domineering is just one of the mysteries of domineering. It must be extremely difficult to fully comprehend a great way and practice it to the perfect state. Take Feng Xian for example. She looks only 33 years old, but in fact she has been practicing for more than 10,000 years. There are 3,000 great ways, and his understanding of the great ways is much more and more profound than Yang Tian. And he has only cultivated the great way of time to the perfect state. The mystery of time slowing down. The mystery of time acceleration. At present, I should have understood these two mysteries in the great way of time. Then are there other mysteries in the great way of time? Yang Tian asked. Since Feng Xian has cultivated the great way of time to the perfect state, it is right to ask him. There are also time stillness and time decay, Feng Xian said. The extreme of time slowing down is time standing still, which I have demonstrated to you. The extreme of time acceleration is time decay. Look, Feng Xian said, pointing to a little mouse in the shadow. Immediately, the little mouse grew up at an irreversible speed, became old, and died. In an instant, the little mouse turned into an old big mouse, died, decayed, and disappeared after being decomposed by microorganisms. Yang Tian was stunned. Feng Xian's method was beyond his understanding. No life in this world can resist the passage of time. Mice, humans, planets, and the universe are all no match for this. A mouse can only live for a few years. An ordinary person can only live for 100 years. A planet with life can live for billions of years. The universe may live for billions of years, but there will be a time limit. We practitioners can absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, break the limits of the human body, and have endless lifespans. But that is not permanent, it's just that you can't measure that time. Even the universe will decay in time, let alone us, Feng Xian said lightly. The so-called time decay is to make the time flow rate of an area reach the extreme. In a blink of an eye, I don't know how many years have passed. All life will run out of lifespan and die. Of course, the mystery of my great way is not the law of heaven, but is driven by divine power. My trick of time decay has no effect on people with higher divine power than me. Feng Xian couldn't help but sigh. Now he is only at the third level of the divine realm like Yang Tian. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 723. If it is Daijun or Tiandao, they can stop the time of the entire universe by using time stillness. They can destroy the universe directly by using time decay, Feng Xian said. Her words were full of yearning and worship for Daijun. As for Tiandao, it is not a person at all, but the origin of all rules. Okay, after saying so much, you should also demonstrate your time mystery. Let me see if you really understand it, Feng Xian smiled. Yang Tian smiled and his eyes focused. Time is invisible and formless, originally illusory, but Yang Tian can now capture the flow of time and can use divine power to slightly change the speed of time. Yang Tian and Feng Xian have the same origin. Apart from other things, at least in terms of talent, Yang Tian and Feng Xian are the same, not inferior to Feng Xian at all. When Feng Xian became an adult, she had a deep understanding of the way of time and the way of space, and created the time and space transfer skill. That's because he is from the upper realm. In addition to his talent, his starting point and vision are very high. But now, Yang Tian has learned from Feng Xian and has a good understanding of the avenue of time. This is normal. Boom. Yang Tian swept his divine power and covered the entire rooftop. The secret of time, time slowdown. At this moment, the wind speed on the rooftop, the crawling speed of insects and ants, all slowed down in Yang Tian's eyes. That's right, only one beat slower. Not bad. Feng Xian nodded slightly, but his speaking speed, the speed of sound transmission, and the action of nodding were also slowed down. Yang Tian himself was the only one who was not affected on the entire rooftop. After all, this was the secret he performed himself. Of course, if Feng Xian wanted, he could also not be affected at all. However, he came to see Yang Tian demonstrate the secret, so he naturally wouldn't do that. At this time, if there was another person outside the rooftop looking over here, you will find that on this rooftop, the rhythm of everything is faster. Hard to understand? Because the time flow on the rooftop has slowed down. If 11 hours on the rooftop have passed, only 10 hours outside may have passed. In the eyes of outsiders, the rhythm of the rooftop will naturally be faster. Of course, Yang Tian did not move at this time. If he moved, in the eyes of outsiders, his rhythm would be faster than the rhythm of the rooftop. It's like fast-forwarding TV, the rhythm of things in the picture is faster, and one of them seems to be cheating, and the rhythm is faster. So, the sword of time is very fast in the eyes of outsiders. The deeper you understand the mystery of time, the faster your sword of time will be in the eyes of outsiders. As for the sword of time, it has surpassed the concept of fast. The next moment, the mystery of time contained in Yang Tian's divine power disappeared. The rhythm of everything on the rooftop returned to normal. Why? Yang Tian was stunned. Why? Haha. Because you are not a Taoist, you are not using the laws of heaven, so you cannot be recognized by heaven. You slowed down time, and heaven thought you changed its specifications privately, so it changed it back, that's all. Feng Xian said lightly. I thought. Yang Tian opened his mouth. Feng Xian interrupted with a sneer, you think that heaven does not allow time to stand still, but allows you to slow down time to this extent. Well. Yang Tian nodded, complaining in his heart, Feng Xian knew everything he was thinking, and he had no secrets at all. The stronger the avenue of the avenue, the greater the restrictions imposed by heaven. The avenue of time directly changes the rules of heaven, of course it does not allow it, Feng Xian explained. Yang Tian was startled, wait, since the time slowdown can only last for a moment, how can I extend my practice time? Yang Tian comprehended the low time slowdown, or the low time slow sword, which can be effective in actual combat, making the opponent unable to react in time. But the real effect of time slowdown is to increase the practice time. As the understanding of the time slowing down profoundly deepened, you practiced for 1 day, I have practiced for 3 to 5 days, or even 3 to 5 years, which is of course terrifying. But the time secret can only last for a moment. You practiced for 0.01 seconds, but I only practiced for 1.5 seconds. What's the use? Haha. Feng Xian instantly sensed what Yang Tian was thinking, and couldn't help laughing, thinking that Yang Tian was quite interesting. Your Taixu server is a Taoist artifact, which has a world inside it. If you get that Taoist artifact and drip blood to recognize the master, then you will not be restricted in performing the secret of the Great Way in that world, Feng Xian pointed out. I see. Yang Tian nodded. There is a world inside that Taoist artifact. If you become the owner of that Taoist artifact, you will also become the owner of that world. In that world, you will be allowed to perform the Great Way and change the rules. Did you also have a similar Taoist artifact at the beginning? Yang Tian's heart moved, and he asked Feng Xian. In the real world, Yang Tian's time secret is not recognized by the heavenly Dao. Feng Xian is not a Taoist master, and his time secret is obviously not recognized by the heavenly Dao. His time slow secret is obviously many times stronger than Yang Tian's, but in the real world it can only last for a moment. No, Feng Xian shook his head and uttered a word. I don't have that kind of Taoist weapon, but I am the king of the bird domain. In the bird domain, I am a small Taoist master. Forget it. It's hard for you to understand many things even if I tell you now. When you become the king of the insect domain, you will understand many things naturally without me saying much, Feng Xian said calmly. Yang Tian couldn't help curling his lips. World Government Headquarters, Square. Everyone was drunk, talking nonsense, snoring. Yang Tian, Liu Yin, Huangmao Xuanggro, and others sat together, enjoying the moon and chatting. Yang Tian suddenly stood up. Yang Tian and Feng Xian had a conversation, and his divine clone felt the same way. Daikai. Go get it now. Yang Tian left, and Liu Yin followed. World Government Headquarters, Research Department, Research Room Number 1. Various precision instruments were arranged inside. Liu Jun and Dr. Atis, wearing white coats, were discussing something. After Yang Tian's introduction and Liu Yin's promotion, Dr. Atis had already joined the World Government of Earth and became a researcher. Dr. Atis's true identity is a researcher on the insect domain Blue Star. Now that he is back to his old job, he is naturally very happy. The technological strength of Blue Star and Earth has its own strengths, and Dr. Atis and Liu Jun's scientific research technology also has their own strengths. When the two met, they were like old friends who could talk about anything, and they seemed to have forgotten everything during the discussion. Yang Tian and Liu Yan came in, and they didn't notice it at all. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 724. Dang Dang. Yang Tian smiled. Although he had already entered the room, he still knocked on the door and interrupted the two people who were talking. Xiao Tian, you came so quickly. Well, the leader has already greeted me. That thing is yours. Liu Jun stood up and smiled, stretched out his hand and pointed to the side. Yang Tian looked at it. It was a glass instrument, shaped like an inverted goldfish bowl. An external transparent hose was connected, and a golden liquid was continuously input into it. Yang Tian could sense that the golden liquid contained extremely pure energy. There was no doubt that the golden liquid was made of insect pills. Now that the Earth has basically defeated the first wave of invading Zerg, the world government naturally has a lot of insect pills. Most of them were distributed, but a small part was left for research. There was 1/3 of golden liquid in the inverted goldfish bowl. Inside it, there was a thumb-sized, oval white crystal. The white crystal stone continuously absorbs the golden liquid. If it weren't for the external hose of the goldfish tank, which continuously inputs the golden liquid, it would have been sucked dry long ago. Is this the server of Taixu? Yang Tian's scalp tingled. The virtual world of Taixu is so huge. Yang Tian originally thought that its server was also very huge, but who knew it was so small? Liu Yan shrugged, and Liu Jun also nodded. Tell Yang Tian that this is the server of Taixu. What about the Awakener server? Yang Tian was stunned. It is also it. It was still running at the beginning. We use technology to divide a small part of that huge virtual world, which is the awakening server. Liu Jun laughed. Tisk tisk. Yang Tian sighed again and again. On August 8 last month, this thing ran out of energy and stopped running. but it can still absorb the energy of insect pills now. Maybe one day, it can run again. You can take this thing away. We really can't afford it, it's been half a month. We have consumed hundreds of first-level insect pills, but it has no reaction at all. Lu Jun sighed. Yang Tian deeply agreed. At that time, the Taixu world was so huge that the energy provided by hundreds of first-level insect pills was simply insignificant. Of course, if this thing fell into Yang Tian's hands, it would be different. Insect pills are pure energy. Yang Tian's divine power is also pure energy, and it is of higher quality than the energy of first-level insect pills. The same is true for the divine power of other strong men. However, Yang Tian has the heart of the sacred tree, and his divine power is endless. Others can't afford this white crystal, but he can. Lu Jun pressed a switch, and the instrument stopped running and no longer input golden liquid into the goldfish tank. In just a short moment, the white crystal absorbed all the remaining golden liquid in it. Lu Jun took down the goldfish tank, took out the white crystal, and handed it to Yang Tian. After getting the white crystal, Yang Tian immediately tried to pour his divine power into it, and the white crystal absorbed it completely. At the same time, Yang Tian's divine power continued to flow, and he continued to feed the white crystal without feeling tired at all. It works, and it's just a matter of time to wake it up next. After the attempt was successful, Yang Tian took the white crystal back into his body and waved, "Uncle Lu, Dr. Edith, you continue to be busy, I won't disturb you." After a while, Yang Tian and Lu Yan walked out of the research department. Yang Tian summoned the thunder leopard, put the white crystal into the thunder leopard's mouth, squatted down and touched the thunder leopard's head, and smiled, "Xiao Lei, go quickly." The thunder leopard shouted something in his mouth, but he didn't speak, just nodded and turned into white light and disappeared after 5 seconds. "Where are you going to send the white crystal?" Lu Yan asked curiously. "My place, the me in front of you is just my divine clone," Yang Tian smiled. "The relationship between my place and my divine clone is that they are actually the same soul, but each has a physical container. If my place dies, the divine clone will naturally become my place. You are my clone, and I am your clone, that's probably it. The so-called place is more important than the divine clone. In fact, the place's physical cultivation and divine power cultivation are generally higher than the divine clone. Or, whoever has a higher cultivation can be the place, anyway, they are the same soul. And the conversation between the place and the divine clone is basically talking to himself." White light flashed, and the thunder leopard appeared in the teleportation array of Yang Tian's home. That was Yang Tian's private teleportation array, but no matter who it was, as long as they had the corresponding teleportation stone, they could be teleported here. The thunder leopard, obviously, also had it. Master Ben Li Bao came to the rooftop, came to Yang Tian's original body, spit out the white crystal, and shouted respectfully. Yang Tian nodded, touched Ben Li Bao's head, then picked up the white crystal, closed his eyes, and continuously poured the vast divine power in his body into the white crystal. Yang Tian's 10% divine power is approximately equal to the total energy of 7 third-level insect pills, 70 second-level insect pills, and 700 first-level insect pills. Even more, after all, Yang Tian has been in the third level of the divine realm for some time, and the thickness of his divine power has increased compared to the past. Yang Tian inputs 10% of divine power per second, and the heart of the divine tree recovers 10% of divine power per second. Repeating this, Yang Tian does not feel any fatigue. Lu Jun consumed hundreds of first-level insect pills in the past half-month and poured energy into the white crystal. However, for Yang Tian, more energy was input in just a few seconds. Tisk Tisk Feng Xian was also quite shocked by this. 2 days passed like this, and the white crystal emitted a brilliant light. Success, Yang Tian was delighted, and his body suddenly disappeared with a thought. With a click, the white crystal fell to the ground. At this time, Yang Tian's whole body entered the world inside the white crystal. In the world inside the white crystal, there are sun, mountains, rivers, forests, and waterfalls. But there are no buildings, no creatures, not even ants and insects, and it is a bit weirdly quiet. At the beginning, the great man on Hatstar used technology to find blue star people to play NPCs and transform this world into Taegzu. Taegzu is a virtual game world where data is king. And the world that Yang Tian saw at this time was the original world that had not been transformed, and it was also the real world. If you die in it, you will really die. Of course, there is no danger in this world now. Then, let's call you Taegzu World. Yang Tian smiled slightly, too lazy to come up with a new name. After saying that, Yang Tian manipulated his divine power and used the time-slowing secret to slow down the time flow in a hemispherical area with a radius of 10 feet. Yang Tian sat cross-legged and was about to practice, but the time-slowing secret in this area had already disappeared. You haven't recognized the master yet, Feng Xian laughed. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 725. Sweat. Yang Tian smiled awkwardly. His figure flashed and he left the Taegzu world. He used his divine power to condense a dagger and dripped blood on the white crystal. At that moment, Yang Tian's soul had a certain continuity with the white crystal. Entering the Taegzu world again, Yang Tian found that his divine power was constantly absorbed by the white crystal. This was different from his active infusion of divine power. Now it was passively absorbed. For the white crystal, since you have become my master, you have the obligation to consume divine power to support me. The white crystal absorbed Yang Tian's divine power in order to maintain the Taegzu world. As long as Yang Tian did not die, it would always have energy, and the Taegzu world would exist permanently. The divine power absorbed by the white crystal was not much. Although it was constantly absorbing, Yang Tian could recover with the help of the heart of the sacred tree. The white crystal was a Taoist weapon, and the great man on the hat star was once its master. But the so-called great power is only a powerful person in the realm of God. Maybe his power is stronger than Yang Tian, but his recovery speed is far slower than Yang Tian, and he can't afford to raise the white crystal. Yang Tian called him a great power because he respected and admired that person's technology, that's all. On August 8 last month, the moment when Taegzu was shut down, the white crystal consumed all its energy and no longer belonged to that great power. Now, only Yang Tian is the owner of the white crystal, and also the owner of the Taegzu world inside it. Since this Taegzu world is a world, it naturally has the will of the heavenly Dao. Yang Tian is not a Taoist master. Although he is the master of this Taegzu world, he can't dominate this world. This world is still dominated by the heavenly Dao. For example, in this world, Yang Tian cannot control weather changes and cannot breed insects and beasts. But the heavenly Dao can. Under the breeding of the laws of the heavenly Dao, this world will sooner or later give birth to living things. It just means that in this world, Yang Tian can display the mysteries of the great Dao and is no longer restricted by the heavenly Dao. That's enough. Yang Tian manipulated his divine power again, using the time-slowing secret to slow down the flow of time in the area of 10 feet. This time, his time-slowing secret was no longer restricted by the laws of heaven and could continue to exist. Unless his divine power was exhausted. But in fact, he had the heart of the divine tree, and his divine power was endless. There was no consumption at all to maintain this level of time-slowing secret. The limit of a third-level divine realm warrior can slow down the flow of time by 5 times. And your divine power is 7 times more powerful than that of an average third-level divine realm warrior. Then your limit can slow down the flow of time by 6.5 times. However, your current understanding of the time-slowing secret is very low. Let alone slowing down by 6.5 times, you can only slow down by 1 beat. Feng Xian was very stern. Yang Tian nodded secretly. If the avenue of time is compared to a vast ocean, then the time-slowing secret is like a lake. The time-delaying secret that Yang Tian has comprehended is just a drop of water in the lake, or even not a drop of water. Yang Tian did not dare to be proud, and hurriedly sat cross-legged. He separated a wisp of his mind and used the space-time transfer technique to absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth and practice, while more of his mind continued to comprehend the avenue of time. During the practice, time passed without him noticing. In a flash, 5 days had passed in the outside world. World Government Headquarters. Today, the world government is going to hold a conferring ceremony. The giant square is bustling with people, and countless media come to take pictures, shoot, and broadcast live. Teams of strong men came on stage and were awarded military ranks, and the scene was boiling. Countless people around the world watched the conferring ceremony through computers, TVs, mobile phones, and the expo screens on the streets, and their blood boiled. "Defeat the Zerg and protect the Earth," the crowd shouted loudly. Although it is the doomsday era, the space wormhole still exists, and the Earth is always facing the threat of invasion by the Zerg army. But now on Earth, there are many righteous strong men, which will undoubtedly make people feel at ease. Yang Tian, the strongest man on Earth, is awarded the rank of marshal and commands the 3 armies. Soon it was Yang Tian's turn to go on stage. After the host's introduction, several leaders came over to shake hands with Yang Tian, and then hung up the military badge and awarded him the rank. Lu Yan, Huang Mao Shuang Ro, Xian Ji Xiao Fei Long Lu and others, Lan Yu Lan Mao and others, that is, Yang Tian's relatives and friends, all smiled and were proud of Yang Tian. Brother Shui. Brother Shui is awesome. MMP, as long as Brother Shui is here, I'm not afraid of anything. All over the world, in front of the expo screen, there were screams. At least on Earth, the influence of the word Yang Tian is far less than that of muddy waters. In the villa of Yang Tian's parents, Yang Donglei and his wife sat on the sofa, watching the live broadcast on TV, with mixed feelings on their faces and tears. They never thought that their son would go to this extent. While they felt extremely proud, they couldn't help but feel worried. Because, while Yang Tian was carrying countless honors, the burden on his shoulders was getting heavier and heavier. The conferment ceremony ended soon. The 5 marshals Yang Tian, Huang Mao, Rong Chuang, Lei Yingshun, and Jin Tong came on stage with dozens of generals. The 5 marshals stood close together, and the generals stood behind. Yang Tian stood in the C position, which was the center of the 5 marshals. "Next, please invite Marshal Yang Tian to speak and express his views on this world," the host said, and handed the microphone to Yang Tian. "Ahem. As an Earthling, I will never allow the Zerg, or any other aliens, to defile our beautiful Mother Earth. As a marshal, I must protect the Earth and maintain world peace. In addition to the Zerg, others who do whatever they want and kill innocent people must not be tolerated," Yang Tian said, with righteousness. This is the Shui brother I know. 666, Shui brother is still Shui brother. Although he is now the marshal and the strongest person on Earth, he still likes to talk nonsense. Is he hinting that Wu country is going to die? Countless audiences laughed and felt inexplicably relieved. Today's world government is naturally the official power of the Earth. After all, the current world government is still the previous world government, which is the direct leader of the countries on Earth and the people's heart. The Zerg power has been squeezed out. Before the Zerg army invades the Earth next time, there will only be the Wu country, a dissident party. Miyamoto Takeshi turned away from the official power of the Earth, founded Wu country, and established himself as king. This Wu country is actually the empire put together by Japan and other countries in the past. Miyamoto Takeshi ruled Wu state, so he had naturally killed the leaders of Japan and other countries long ago, and blocked Wu state, not allowing outsiders to enter or people inside to leave. Miyamoto Takeshi enjoyed the throne very much, and in order to expand his sphere of influence, he accepted and condoned thugs. Wu State was naturally in dire straits, and Miyamoto Takeshi was not popular. Many people wanted to escape Wu State, but they could not do it at all, and it might even bring disaster upon themselves. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 726. Wu Country. There are two red sofas and chairs standing side by side at the front of the hall. Miyamoto Takeshi and Kylin each sit on one of them. Below, there are a row of unruly strong men standing on the left and right. At this time, everyone in the hall was staring at the screen in front of them. Except for the Zerg, other people who do whatever they want and kill innocent people indiscriminately cannot be tolerated, Yang Tian said sternly on the screen. Click. With a move of Miyamoto Takeshi's divine power, Yang Tian on the screen was cut in half. The next moment, the screen went black and the machine was destroyed and fell to the ground. Absolutely not tolerate it? You have to be able to do it, Takeshi Miyamoto sneered, looking very arrogant. Nowadays, Takeshi Miyamoto's divine power has reached the 5th level of the divine realm. When he first ruled Japan and established the Wu Kingdom, he had already reached the 4th level of the divine realm. Now, the territory of the Wu Kingdom under his command has expanded more than 10 times, and his cultivation has directly reached the 5th level of the divine realm. The bloodline of the greedy wolf evil god is so terrifying. The higher the power, the more important the imperial position, the stronger the cultivation level. According to his estimate, when he completely rules the earth, his cultivation will reach the 6th level of the divine realm. And that is just an earth. The universe is so vast and there are so many living planets in the universe. His potential is simply endless. Even becoming the emperor of the universe in the future is not completely impossible. This emperor is more than 100 times more powerful than the 3rd level god back then. Muddy waters, Huang Mao, how can you fight with me? Miyamoto Takeshi sneered again and again. Yang Tian and Huang Mao were named marshals of the earth, and Yang Tian was even called the strongest person on earth, but he refused to accept it. In his opinion, he is the most powerful person on earth. Moreover, beside him, there is Kylin, whose potential is no less than his. Kylin is now only at the 4th level of the divine realm, possessing the power of the evil god's bloodline. The stronger the man she works with, the faster her cultivation will improve. Moreover, you can suck the opponent dry while doing business, killing without blood. In the beginning, she was the one who sucked up the red worms and wiped them out. But now on Earth, except for Takeshi Miyamoto, who is at the 5th level of the divine realm, there is no other powerful person at the 5th level of the divine realm. Takeshi Miyamoto is addicted to power and position, and is not a person with a spiritual mind. It is impossible to do things with her, so her cultivation level cannot be improved quickly for the time being. But Miyamoto Takeshi's ambitions are not limited to the Earth. After he rules the Earth, he will naturally invade aliens. At that time, Kylin's potential will naturally come into play and work for herself. There are 3 evil gods, Greedy Wolf, Lustful Snake, and Glutton. Muddy Waters has the power of gluttony, and his potential is not weaker than this emperor at all. It's a pity that he is hypocritical and righteous, and what he says about protecting the earth is really just an ant's idea. If he doesn't have the heart of an emperor, he will never be able to compare with this emperor. Takeshi Miyamoto sneered and said sarcastically in his heart. The conferment ceremony ended and the media personnel gradually left. World government, close the door and open a war meeting. Now, the Zerg forces are defeated. Then before the Zerg army invades the Earth next time, our main goal is to defeat the Wu Kingdom. Next, please watch a video on the rostrum. A certain leader pressed the remote control. The big screen behind him flickered. The picture showed a room in which a bald black man was talking on the phone anxiously with cold sweat on his face. Leader, Takeshi Miyamoto possesses the power of Greedy Wolf's bloodline. The higher the throne, the stronger the power. Now that the Wu kingdom is gradually growing, he may have reached the 4th level of the divine realm, or even higher. We cannot allow his power to continue to expand, otherwise there will be endless troubles. The words just fell. Takeshi Miyamoto has appeared behind the black bald man. Traitor? Looking for death, Takeshi Miyamoto smiled coldly. Along with a scream, the screen disappeared, and one can imagine the fate of the black bald man. The leader looked solemn and angry and said, "That is a major general of our army named Bernie. In fact, we have already mastered Takeshi Miyamoto's information and know that his existence is always a hidden danger. Last month, when Takezu had just stopped serving, we had already sent several generals to Japan, where Miyamoto Takeshi is located, in order to control Miyamoto Takeshi. It's a pity that Miyamoto Takeshi was so powerful that he killed all the generals we sent. After that, he quickly ruled Japan and established the Wu Kingdom, which grew rapidly in this month. During this period, we sent Major General Bernie, pretending to surrender, and sneaked into Wu Kingdom as an undercover agent to understand the current situation of Miyamoto Takeshi and Wu Kingdom. This video was sent to me by Major General Bernie 3 days ago. In other words, Major General Bernie died 3 days ago. If I remember correctly, his child had just turned 6 years old, the leader said in a hoarse voice. Yang Tian sighed in his heart. He had already guessed Miyamoto Takeshi's ambition. The owners of the evil god's bloodline will definitely embark on an evil path if they are not suppressed by the White Tiger Lord. But guess what? Before there are established facts, it is inconvenient for Yang Tian to take action. Criminals are just ordinary people before committing crimes. It's like a detective who has almost identified the murderer, but he can only endure it until he finds evidence. Otherwise, what is the difference between him and a villain? Before the service of Takezu was suspended, he had already sent a message to the world government, asking the world government to take more care of Takeshi Miyamoto. However, he still overestimated the strength of the original world government and underestimated the strength of Takeshi Miyamoto. So that things have developed to the point where they are now. Miyamoto Takeshi is ambitious. In order to expand his power, he accepts all strong people from all sides. He accepts thugs and condones thugs. Our compatriots trapped in Wu State must be living in dire straits. Marshal Yang Tian, Marshal Huang, I hope you can personally kill Miyamoto Takeshi. Otherwise, the whole earth will be destroyed in his hands. The leader stared at Yang Tian Huangmao and said solemnly. Yang Tian Huangmao nodded in response. It's not too late to mend the fold after the sheep have been lost. After the meeting, Yang Tian Huangmao gathered people in the square. Suddenly, Jin Tong came with a dozen people and said, "You two, I will act with you this time. You stay at the headquarters. Now we send troops. If the other party does not fight back and attacks the headquarters instead, what will happen?" Huangmao said indifferently. Jin Tong was startled. He wanted to go over there because he was worried about Kylin and was afraid that Yang Tian would kill Kylin. But Huangmao obviously saw through his intentions and took him over there, making him feel helpless. "Don't worry, I will use my mental power to invade Kylin's temple and kill the evil snake god. In short, I will try my best to bring Kylin back safely," Yang Tian said. Thank you." Jin Tong was startled and bowed to Yang Tian gratefully. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super God Undead Lord. Author, Ba Wang Shi-san. Chapter 727. Yang Tian Huangmao set off with his friends and family. On the way, Huangmao scratched his head and asked, "Can you really do that? You are not lying to that golden pupil, right?" "I can really do it," Yang Tian smiled slightly. In fact, he can't do that kind of thing at all. The so-called mental power is actually the soul power. The soul of the strong man in the god realm is in chaos, and at most can produce soul fluctuations and stab the other party's soul. But that's all. The soul of the strong man in the god realm is in chaos, and the soul is not solid enough. It is impossible to leave the body to invade the other party's god palace, and naturally it is impossible to seize the body, and naturally it is impossible to wipe out the other party's bloodline power parasitic in the god palace. That kind of thing can only be done by the strong man in the god UN realm, or even higher cultivation. Yang Tian really can't do it, but Feng Xian Zhenhun can do it. Feng Xian Zhenhun is a soul, so it can naturally leave the body, invade the other party's god palace, and do things that ordinary people can't do. The center of the eyebrows of the original body and the divine clone, these two flesh containers, is the same divine palace. Therefore, the original body and the divine clone are basically the same soul and the same personality. In the Yangtian divine palace, there is a chaos. That is Yangtian's main soul, that is, the sea of soul consciousness. Fengxian's divine soul, blood power, the heart of the divine tree, and even countless skill points are all in it. Fengxian's divine soul is a divine soul, so it can naturally enter and exit the divine palace freely. He came out of the divine palace and could come to Yangtian's original body or to Yangtian's divine clone. Ordinary people have one soul and one flesh container. The strong who have divine clones have one soul and two flesh containers. And Yangtian is the most special. Yangtian Fengxian has two souls and two flesh containers. One day later, Yangtian Huangmao and others came to Wuqiu. This Wu kingdom was formed by the patchwork of Japan and other countries in the past. Miyamoto Takeshi built a magnificent palace in the most prosperous area of Wu kingdom, named Wu Palace. Yangtian Huangmao and others came to Wu Palace Square. Looking around, Miyamoto Takeshi and his group of men were already ready. Miyamoto Takeshi was wearing a black dragon robe. As his desire continued to expand, his face had become somewhat distorted, his eyes were cold, and full of violent aura. Bring them up. Miyamoto Takeshi waved his hand. Immediately, a group of Wu Kingdom generals pressed a group of prisoners who were covered in wounds and weak in breath to the center of the square. Kneel down, a general of Wu Kingdom roared loudly. Many prisoners knelt on the ground. The tough ones had to be kicked, but they still had to kneel on the ground. Many Wu Kingdom generals, all holding weapons, looked at the kneeling prisoners coldly. This scene was like an ancient execution ground. At Miyamoto Takeshi's order, many prisoners were about to fall to the ground. These people are either traitors sent by your world government or rebels in Wu who want to betray me. They all deserve to die. Miyamoto Takeshi stared at Yang Tian and said with a sarcastic smile, "Muddy Waters, aren't you the marshal of earth and claim to be righteous? Will you save these people or not?" Buzz buzz buzz. A helicopter was hovering at a low speed above the square. At the hatch, there were reporters taking pictures and broadcasting live. Brother Shui. Damn, Miyamoto Takeshi is too despicable. Around the world, countless streets in front of the expo screen were surrounded by spectators. They watched the live broadcast and Miyamoto Takeshi's unscrupulous face, and they were all worried about Yang Tian. Of course we have to save them. Yang Tian nodded. Hearing this, Miyamoto Takeshi raised his eyebrows. Many Wu country generals laughed wantonly. Many prisoners burst into tears and were extremely ashamed. Countless spectators around the world trembled in their hearts. In front of the TV, Yang Donglei and his wife were horrified, and Yang Tian's mother Wang Jing almost fainted. How to save? Sacrifice for others. Wang Jing was most worried about this. Why should her son be a hero? Why should he sacrifice himself to save others? Very good, if you want to save them, you will have to pay a price. In this way, if you cripple your hands and feet, I will spare their lives, Miyamoto Takeshi said teasingly. He was different from Kylin. He was ambitious and had a cold heart of an emperor. After possessing the blood of the greedy wolf evil god, his desire continued to rise. He was not confused or resisted at all, but enjoyed it. He was such a person. Despicable. Dirty. Countless viewers around the world were indignant. Really, Yang Tian sneered. Buzz. Accompanied by a metal sound that hit the soul, Yang Tian's eyes were stern, and a domineering aura swept around wildly. Bang, bang, bang. In the square, all the generals of Wu State were sweating profusely, kneeling on the ground, and then foaming at the mouth, and all fainted. Yang Tian's domineering aura was quite strong, and his proficiency was extremely high, which could deter the enemy in a targeted manner. At this time, in the square, except for Miyamoto Takeshi and Kylin, all the others on the Wu State side had fainted. Tisk, tisk, tisk. Muddy water, you are indeed different. As long as you are not dead, this emperor will never be at ease. Miyamoto Takeshi was quite surprised by Yang Tian's domineering aura, but of course he himself was not affected. Divine power, draw the sword and slash. Miyamoto Takeshi's sword came out of his waist, and a black sword shadow was excited, with a powerful divine power pressure, sweeping towards Yang Tian and others. The battle situation changes rapidly. Countless viewers around the world saw Yang Tian knock down most of the enemies with one domineering move, and they didn't have time to be happy. Miyamoto Takeshi had already attacked vigorously. Divine power, sweeping thousands of troops. At the same time, Huang Mao instantly activated the Rising Dragon transformation and turned into a human-shaped golden dragon. He swept the spear in his hand, exciting a golden shockwave, carrying the rolling dragon power, and collided with the black sword shadow firmly. Boom! The explosion sounded, and Miyamoto Takeshi was actually knocked out, his face full of disbelief, and blood gushed out of his mouth. P.S. The definition of original body and divine clone in this chapter is slightly inconsistent with the previous article. In short, this chapter shall prevail. The structure of this article is very large. At this point, I am still working on the framework, which is really exhausting. It's like building a house. You have to lay the foundation first, and go through all kinds of logical calculations to prevent the house from collapsing in the future. Once the framework foundation is stable, it will be simple to write in the future. As I said before, 13 has only written online games in the past 4 years. Now the chapters of the insect domain and the universe are all fantasy content. It is considered a transformation. I have no experience at all. It is very difficult to write. I hope you can bear with me. To be honest, many settings in this article are too complicated. I know that everyone mainly looks at the plot. It is okay if the settings are simple and reasonable. If the settings are too complicated, once the logic is not clear, I will be scolded. I am really thankless. But since I have already written it, I must try my best to write it well. I have written a lot of waste drafts in the past few days. The loopholes are too big, so I deleted them reluctantly. I am not a perfectionist, but I don't want to be too compromising. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 728. Under normal circumstances, Huang Mao only has the 3rd level of Divine Realm. However, even though he is also in the 3rd level of Divine Realm, his divine power is 7 times more powerful than that of a strong person in the same level, and is infinitely close to that of a strong person in the 4th level of Divine Realm. Rising Dragon Transformation Stage 1. At that moment, Huang Mao turned into a human-shaped golden dragon, and the source of energy in the Danshan Qi Si in his body changed from 3 levels to 4 levels. In other words, in the state of the 1st level of Rising Dragon Transformation, his cultivation level has forcibly reached the 4th level of Divine Realm, and his divine power is still 7 times more powerful than that of a strong person in the same level, and is quite close to that of a strong person in the 5th level of Divine Realm. However, Huang Mao is currently in the 2nd level of Rising Dragon Transformation. At present, the source of energy waves in his Danshan Chi are still only 4 levels, and his cultivation level is still only the 4th level of Divine Realm, which is about the middle stage of the 4th level of Divine Realm. However, at this time, his divine power is much stronger than that of a strong person in the 5th level of Divine Realm. In the insect domain, the power of a strong person in the Divine Realm is calculated in units of dragons. A strong man in the 1st level of the Divine Realm has 1 dragon power. A strong man in the 2nd level of the Divine Realm has 10 dragon powers. A strong man in the 3rd level of the Divine Realm has 100 dragon powers. A strong man in the 4th level of the Divine Realm has 1000 dragon powers. A strong man in the 5th level of the Divine Realm has 10,000 dragon powers. Under normal circumstances, Huang Mao's cultivation has reached the early stage of the 3rd level of the Divine Realm, but he can burst out 700 dragon powers, which is quite close to a strong man in the 4th level of the Divine Realm. In the first stage of the Ascending Dragon, his cultivation temporarily reaches the early stage of the 4th level of the Divine Realm, and he can burst out 7,000 dragon powers, which is quite close to a strong man in the 5th level of the Divine Realm. In the second stage of the Ascending Dragon, his cultivation temporarily reaches the middle stage of the 4th level of the Divine Realm, and he can burst out 14,000 dragon powers, which has surpassed a strong man in the 5th level of the Divine Realm. Because of this, Huang Mao repelled Miyamoto Takeshi with 1 move, which surprised the latter. His eyes widened, and his face was full of disbelief. Abnormal. Muddy yellow hair, these 2 guys are really abnormal. Miyamoto Takeshi's face twitched and he kept spitting blood from his mouth. With just 1 move, he was seriously injured, and even his soul was stinging. That's right, the power of the White Tiger can suppress dark life even in reality, and what it suppresses is the soul. Good. The headquarters of the world government. At this time, several leaders, and Rongchuang, Raikage Shun, Jintung, and many generals were watching the live broadcast. Seeing that the yellow hair defeated Miyamoto Takeshi with 1 move, they couldn't help but applaud, and felt that the yellow hair's strength was unfathomable. 1 yellow hair is so terrifying, and there is also Yang Tian, then Miyamoto Takeshi is simply not a threat. Whoosh! The yellow hair took advantage of the situation and rushed towards Miyamoto Takeshi again, sweeping the long spear in his hand. And Yang Tian walked towards Kylin. Yang Tian's domineering attitude before made all the generals of Wu country faint except Miyamoto Takeshi and Kylin. At this time, seeing that Miyamoto Takeshi was no match for the yellow-haired man, Kylin had basically given up resistance. Kylin, do you regret it? Yang Tian asked. Kylin sighed and said, what can I do if I regret it? My fate is already determined. If you don't kill me today, I will still commit many unforgivable sins in the future. Unlike Miyamoto Takeshi, Kylin is very resistant to the power of the evil snake god, but so what? She can't resist the primitive desire that is roaring at her. Now, she has not only become a slut who can be hummed by anyone, but also sucked many innocent people dry, which can be said to be a serious sin. Yang Tian looked at her deeply and sighed in his heart. As the owner of the evil god, Yang Tian naturally understood her inner pain and struggle. If he didn't have the power of the white tiger, he, Yang Tian, would sooner or later be swallowed by desire, turned into a human-shaped glutton, and become a beast of desire. So, he wanted to help Kylin no matter what. Some things are not as irreversible as you think. As he said that, Yang Tian walked towards Kylin and stretched out his palm to touch Kylin's forehead. Kylin was stunned. She thought Yang Tian wanted to kill her, but she didn't resist even so. However, she was a little surprised to hear Yang Tian's words, as if he wanted to help her. How to help? The next moment, she found that an illusory figure appeared in her sea of consciousness. The figure looked exactly like Yang Tian in front of her, but with long red hair and red eyes. What on earth are you? Kylin looked at Yang Tian and was instantly shocked. The figure was obviously Feng Xian's soul. He had come out of Yang Tian's palace and came to Kailan's palace. Yang Tian and Feng Xian had the same origin, and now they were both teachers and friends. Yang Tian's small request would naturally be agreed by him. Feng Xian raised her eyes and found a dark red poisonous snake in the chaos around her. The venomous snake looked very ferocious, exuding an extremely cold and dark aura. It was the Desire Snake Evil God. Feng Xian had an extraordinary vision. With just one glance, she knew that the Desire Snake Evil God had great potential. But he had a heart of Taoism and was full of righteousness. He really couldn't stand such a dark and evil thing. He stretched out his hand and pinched the Desire Snake Evil God in his palm. The latter was unable to resist. Feng Xian instantly sacrificed the original divine fire, and in a moment, he had refined the Desire Snake Evil God into nothingness. The power of blood is actually the beast's soul, which is deposited in the human soul and has merged with the soul. Now that the Desire Snake Evil God has fallen, Kailan's soul is damaged, and she instantly feels a strong tingling and dizziness. She groaned, her eyes turned black, and she fainted on the spot. Kailan also has her own divine clone. The original body and the divine clone are from the same divine palace and the same soul. The power of bloodline also parasitizes in the soul. If the soul has two physical containers, then the two physical containers naturally have the power of bloodline. Now that the Desire Snake Evil God has fallen, Kailan and her divine clone have naturally lost the power of the Desire Snake Evil God. It is also worth mentioning that the strong man with the divine clone is a soul and two physical containers. It doesn't matter if one of the physical containers falls. But if the soul falls, all fall. At this time, Kailan's soul was damaged and she fainted. Her divine clone was nowhere to be found, but it was obviously also unconscious. Feng Xian was in Kailan's divine palace. At this time, if he wanted to take over her body, Kailan would not have the slightest ability to resist. But he was a righteous person who was almost pedantic. He was unwilling to take over Yang Tian's body, and naturally he was unwilling to take over Kailan's body, nor was he willing to take over anyone else's body. In a flash, he left Kailan's temple and returned to Yang Tian's temple again. The soul is invisible and intangible, and the spirit is the same. Feng Xian's spirit, except for Yang Tian and himself, can't be seen by others. Of course, if the soul power is very strong, it can also be sensed, such as Huang Mao and Miyamoto Wu, but the two were fighting and didn't pay attention. Thank you. Yang Tian sent a thought to Feng Xian. No need. But since you can suppress evil, you can accept the evil god, but you didn't. It seems that your character did not disappoint me. Feng Xian smiled. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 729. Yang Tian smiled bitterly. He could accept the Dowdy bloodline, and he had no psychological pressure to devour the Zerg. But the lustful snake bloodline, did it mean he had to do things with female Zerg people and Zerg generals? He couldn't do this kind of thing at all. At this time, Yang Tian had already solved Kailan's problem. At the same time, Miyamoto Takeshi summoned his divine clone over, and the yellow-haired man was still in the upper hand in a one-on-two fight. The yellow-haired man's attack contained the power of the White Tiger God, which directly suppressed Miyamoto Takeshi's soul. Miyamoto Takeshi and his divine clone were from the same shrine and the same soul. One person was injured, and both of them felt a splitting headache at the same time. They covered their heads tightly with their hands, screamed, and showed a ferocious appearance. Puff the yellow-haired man stabbed out with a spear, and pierced through the body of one Miyamoto Takeshi. The long spear was pulled out, causing a large amount of blood, and the long spear swept again, and the other Miyamoto Takeshi's head fell to the ground directly. The two Miyamoto Takeshi fell at the same time, and each of them exploded something. Huang Mao stretched out his hand and swept all the spoils into his body. Miyamoto Takeshi has a soul and two physical containers. The soul is nourished by divine power. The stronger the divine power, the stronger the soul. The two physical containers have different divine power cultivation. Obviously, whoever has stronger divine power cultivation is the original. The strength of his soul depends on the divine power cultivation of the original. Miyamoto Takeshi has only the 5th level of divine realm cultivation. His soul is in chaos and has not formed divine essence, so his soul cannot leave his body. At this time, both of Miyamoto Takeshi's bodies have fallen. Without the nourishment of divine power, his soul instantly lost consciousness. It will completely die in a moment, and there will be no chance of resurrection. The greedy wolf evil god also parasitizes in Miyamoto Takeshi's soul, but it cannot escape from the divine palace by itself. It will disappear completely from this world as Miyamoto Takeshi's soul dies. Both bodies of Miyamoto Takeshi have perished. At this time, even if a general divine UN realm expert, or even a divine king realm or a void transformation realm expert took over the body, there was no way to revive it. Because the body has perished and has lost its vitality, even if the body is taken over successfully, there is no way to revive it. Moreover, even if the soul of a strong man is not nourished by divine power, it will continue to weaken. Therefore, no strong man would choose to take over the body of a dead person. Unless Feng Xian takes action, his divine phoenix bloodline can be reborn from the ashes. Of course, if Feng Xian takes over the body of Miyamoto Takeshi and resurrects him, it is Feng Xian, and Miyamoto Takeshi will no longer exist. But Feng Xian still did not take action despite the great opportunity. He is a bit pedantic and upright, and is unwilling to take over the body of others, but it should be okay for the dead, right? But he knows that even if he is resurrected, King Yang will not let him go. He used time and space transfer at the beginning, because he wanted to travel through the previous time and space, to before the incident happened. Now, he can only live in Yangtian Palace, not revealing his existence, and try his best to train Yangtian into a peerless strongman to complete his mission on his behalf. Of course, he can also perform time and space transfer again and travel to the previous time and space, but the risk is too great and it may not succeed, and the success rate is even very low. So choosing to train Yangtian is already his best choice. And Yangtian has now gained some understanding of the great Dao of time, which makes him more determined in his choice. At this time, although Feng Xian will not take over Gongbenwu's body, his soul still entered Gongbenwu's palace and pulled the greedy wolf evil god out alive. It was a baby's fist-sized, extremely ferocious and violent eyes, but very weak black wolf soul. Bloodline, in essence, is a drop of blood containing the soul of the beast. This kind of thing originally only existed in the bodies of some gifted beasts. Humans, if they kill that kind of beast, can get bloodline. If you swallow it and refine it, you will not only strengthen your body, but also gain blood power in your soul, which is the beast's soul. Of course, ordinary humans can only have one blood, that is, one beast's soul power. Humans with beast soul power will give birth to viscounts in the future, and their descendants will also have a certain chance to inherit the beast's soul power. Feng Xian, Longdu, Xianyuan Longer and others have obtained the beast's soul power in this way. However, people like Yang Tian Huangmao, and even most of the players of Taixu at that time, killed alien beasts, swallowed blood, and obtained the beast's soul power. Blood is a drop of alien beast essence blood, which only exists in the bodies of some gifted alien beasts. Even if you kill the alien beast and take out the blood can be preserved for a long time. Just like Yang Tian still has a lot of divine beast blood in his hands. If humans swallow the blood into their bodies, refine it, and strengthen their bodies, that drop of essence blood will no longer exist, and only a beast soul will remain parasitic in the soul. In other words, no matter whether it is congenital or acquired, the strong human beings do not have the blood of exotic beasts in their bodies, but there is still a beast soul parasitizing in their souls. In this regard, the reality is obviously different from the NPCs in Taixu. At the beginning, The NPCs in Tegzu still had blood in their bodies. Of course, the players do not have blood in their bodies, only beast souls, so no matter how the players die, they will not explode blood, because there is none at all. This is not about games, but about reality. The beast soul parasitizes the soul, and once it leaves the body, it cannot survive. Blood is just blood essence, even if it leaves the body, it can still be preserved. The beast soul parasitizes the soul, which is also a kind of soul. When it leaves the body and loses the nourishment of divine power, it naturally cannot survive for a long time. Miyamoto Takeshi is a 5th level strong man in the divine realm, and his soul has also reached the 5th level of the divine realm. Naturally, the greedy wolf evil god is only at the 5th level of the divine realm. It alone cannot leave the divine palace or leave its body. But now, it was forcibly pulled out by Feng Xian. This is not a bad thing for it. Miyamoto Takeshi is dead, and both bodies have lost their vitality at the same time. Without the nourishment of divine power, it instantly became extremely weak and could not leave the body. It was basically a dead end. And now that it has come out, it has the possibility of parasitizing others again. It is just a beast soul, but it still has the desire to survive. Roar! The greedy wolf beast soul roared fiercely. Of course, the beast soul is just a soul. The soul is invisible and intangible. The roar and roar of the soul have no sound, and only produce the fluctuation of the soul. Moreover, it is very weak at this time, and the soul fluctuation caused by the roar is not strong. At this time, looking at the whole place, only Yang Tian, Feng Xian, and Huang Mao can see it and hear the roar. At this time, the Tanlang beast soul is looking for a parasitic target. Now it is extremely weak and may disappear at any time. It is not picky at all, and it can do anything. It's a pity that Feng Xian pinched it, and it couldn't take action at all. Feng Xian's soul, also nourished by Yang Tian's divine power, is actually only at the 3rd level of the divine realm, not as good as Tanlang's 5th level of the divine realm. But Feng Xian is a soul that only a strong person in the void realm can possess. It can leave the body at will. A 3rd level soul that is still at its peak, and a 5th level beast soul that is so weak that it is about to disappear. It goes without saying who is strong and who is weak. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super God Undead Lord. Author, Ba Wang Shi-san. Chapter 730. Yang Tian's divine power is far more powerful than that of the strong men in the same realm. Yang Tian's soul, Feng Xian's soul, is nourished by divine power, and naturally it is much stronger than the souls in the same realm. Therefore, even though Feng Xian's soul left her body, outsiders could not see it at all. Only Huang Mao and Kai Lin could see it, and Kai Lin had fainted. In other words, now only Huang Mao could see Feng Xian, and he was shocked. He had never thought that there was another soul parasitizing in Yang Tian's body, and it looked exactly like Yang Tian, but the hair color and eye color were different. I know that this beast soul has unimaginable potential, don't you consider it, Feng Xian said. Greedy wolf is different from desire snake. Desire snake wants to do things with others, suck the other party dry, and strengthen itself, which is too evil. Greedy wolf only seeks power and can do it without hurting people's lives. Not to mention, Feng Xian knows that Yang Tian also has the white tiger beast soul, which is enough to suppress the evil nature of greedy wolf. You actually call yourself this seed? Huang Mao was shocked again. Yang Tian thought for a second and nodded. Yang Tian himself only possessed 6 kinds of bloodline power, that is, the power of 6 beast souls. And the beast soul is parasitic on the soul. The divine phoenix beast soul is also parasitic on the soul of Feng Xian. And the Feng Xian soul is parasitic on Yang Tian's soul. Yang Tian is a human king, and he could have 7 kinds of beast souls, but the existence of Feng Xian forced him to occupy a seat. In other words, Yang Tian now has 7 kinds of beast soul power. Like Huangmao, their bodies, divine power, and souls are 7 times stronger than those of the same realm. Only when Feng Xian's soul dies, or takes over someone else's body, and completely cuts off the connection with Yang Tian's soul, can the 7th seat be vacated. At present, Yang Tian's soul is full of 7 beast souls, and there is no way to obtain the 8th beast soul, but it can be replaced. Yellow Dragon, White Tiger, Phoenix Fairy, Black Tortoise, Dowdy. Which king, suppressing evil stone lion? Yang Tian pondered, ignoring the first 5, so he could only choose the last 2. The suppressing evil stone lion beast soul has 2 bloodline magical powers, immovable as a mountain, and the suppressing evil array. In reality, there is naturally no tyrant body. But immovable as a mountain, turning into a rock, can also increase defense tenfold. Yang Tian's original body, the physical cultivation reaches the 4th level of the divine body, and is 7 times stronger than the same realm. In the state of immovable as a mountain, it is the 5th level of the divine body, which is 7 times stronger than the same realm, so the general 5th level of the divine realm can't break the defense at all. Yang Tian's divine clone, the physical cultivation is only the 3rd level of the divine body, in the state of immovable as a mountain, it is the 4th level of the divine body, and the general 4th level of the divine realm can't break the defense at all. There is no doubt that the bloodline magical power of immovable as a mountain is extremely powerful. As for the suppressing evil array, it is even more amazing. The Lich King's beast soul also possesses 2 bloodline magical powers, Dark Affinity and Dark Domination. Dark Affinity makes Yang Tian highly compatible with the Dark Avenue and can instantly cast dark magic. However, Yang Tian himself is a dark life, and his soul and divine power are also dark attributes. His compatibility with the Dark Avenue is already extremely high. In the future, as his cultivation level improves, his compatibility with the Dark Avenue will only become higher and higher, and sooner or later he will comprehend a hint of the Dark Avenue's mysteries. Even now, even without the bloodline magical power of Dark Affinity, he already has a certain degree of Dark Affinity and can instantly cast dark magic. In other words, the bloodline magical power of Dark Affinity is of little significance to Yang Tian now. Dark Domination can command all dark lives below its own realm within a certain range. However, Yang Tian already has his own army of undead, and in reality, dark lives are also very rare. So he doesn't really need this ability. Why, have you made a choice? Feng Xian asked. Yeah, Yang Tian nodded. With a thought, he killed the beast soul of the Lich King in the temple. At the same time, Feng Xian sent the greedy wolf beast soul into the Yang Tian temple. Roar! The greedy wolf beast soul roared. At this time, although it came to the Yang Tian temple, it was not recognized and would not be nourished by the divine power. It was still extremely weak. Roar! In the Yang Tian temple, feeling the provocation of the greedy wolf beast soul, the yellow dragon, white tiger, Dowdy and other beast souls roared at the same time, instantly frightening the greedy wolf beast soul and trembling. Not only was it suppressed by numbers, the white tiger beast soul also had a natural suppressive force on him. The greedy wolf beast soul had already surrendered. With a thought, Yang Tian wrapped it in the boundless dark soul waves in the temple and refined it into the original beast soul. At this point, the greedy wolf beast soul truly belonged to Yang Tian. Its realm is also synchronized with Yang Tian, and it will grow with Yang Tian. At the same time, Yang Tian also read the 2 bloodline magical powers contained in the Tanlang beast soul, Zai Wei Fate, Soul Destruction. Zai Wei Fate, become a person above the adult, the higher the power, the more popular the person is, and the stronger the strength. Soul Destruction, forcibly pull the opponent's soul out of the palace. Zai Wei Fate is strong, needless to say. And Soul Destruction is also very powerful, actually forcibly pulling the opponent's soul out. If it is the soul and the spirit, it is fine, if it is just an ordinary soul of a strong man in the realm of God, once it leaves the body, it will be extremely weak. Kill the soul, and the physical container will naturally fall. Soul destruction, as the name suggests, is very terrifying and very evil. Yang Tian was shocked and broke out in a cold sweat. He sighed inwardly. Why didn't Miyamoto Takeshi use the Soul Destroyer when he fought with Huang Mao? But he soon figured it out. Huang Mao also possessed the power of the White Tiger God and suppressed all darkness. It was not that Miyamoto Takeshi didn't use the Soul Destroyer, but it didn't have any effect when he used it. Miyamoto Takeshi is dead, and Wu Kingdom naturally doesn't exist. Let's pack up. Yang Tian waved his hand. At this moment, Wu Kingdom was liberated and the people of Wu Kingdom gained freedom. The world is united. The Earth is still the original Earth, and it is jointly governed by the world government and the countries. Although there will still be dissidents and thugs in the future, after all, where there is light, there must be darkness, but at least this time, light has defeated darkness. Then, the people on Earth have become one and can concentrate on dealing with the alien Zerg. Brother Shui is awesome, young Master Huang is awesome. With the death of Miyamoto Takeshi and the liberation of Wu Kingdom, the world is united. All over the world, in front of the expo screen, countless audiences danced with joy. Wu country is liberated, and new leaders will take office in the countries under its command. But before that, I'll have to trouble you to maintain order. Yang Tian, Huang Mao and others completed the task and were about to use the teleportation stone to return to the headquarters of the world government. Suddenly, the voices of several leaders of the world government rang in their ears through the communicator. How to deal with the many generals of the former Wu country, Yang Tian asked. Behead. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 731. After completing all the tasks, Yang Tian, Huang Mao and others temporarily stayed in Wu Kingdom and lived in Wu Palace for the time being. Yang Tian retreated again. According to legend, the horoscope of Ziwei is that of an emperor. From ancient times to the present, all great people have the destiny of crepe myrtle. However, those heroes and tyrants often also have the fate of Ziwei. In other words, people with the fate of Ziwei are born extraordinary. But their character, good and evil, has nothing to do with fate. In ancient times, there were wise kings, and there were also tyrants and cowardly kings. They had the same destiny, but completely different personalities and conduct. Greedy Wolf is an evil god, ferocious and cruel, greedy for power and position, with endless desires. Anyone with Greedy Wolf bloodline is destined to be extraordinary. As long as he does not die prematurely, he will surely rise to become a leader in the future, but he will definitely be a tyrant and a coward. But Yang Tian was different. His white tiger beast soul directly suppressed all the evil nature of the greedy wolf beast soul. He will not be greedy for power, will not become cruel, and will be even less likely to become a tyrant and a coward in the future. So, just talking about Ziwei's destiny, it has only huge benefits for Yang Tian. The fate of Ziwei can absorb popularity and become stronger. The emperor makes all the people surrender and worship him, and he attracts the highest quality of popularity. Heroes and great men can make thousands of people respect and admire them, and they can also attract popularity, but the quality of the popularity they attract is far inferior to the former. But Yang Tian doesn't like power, and his character is not suitable for becoming a real person in power, and he is even less likely to rebel. However, now that the Wu Kingdom is liberated, the world is unified. Yang Tian is the real marshal of the earth, respected by hundreds of millions of people, and his status is not low. At this time, Yang Tian himself was retreating at home and had begun to absorb the earth's popularity and improve his cultivation. The popularity of the earth is the spirit of faith generated by all the people on the earth who respect Yang Tian. Yang Tian absorbed that spirit of faith and did no harm to those people. Yang Tian currently in the martial palace is just a clone of God. At this time, he also sat cross-legged. With the thought in his mind, the incomparable vastness of the earth's aura of faith, which belongs only to him, continuously gathered over him. He immediately exercised his power, constantly inhaling the gathered energy of faith into his body, running it along the various meridians, and taming it into his own original energy. Tick tick tick. Within the Danshan Qi Sea, a black rainstorm began, causing the 3 layers of original Qi waves to grow stronger and stronger. Obviously, the black rainstorm is the spirit of faith that is constantly being absorbed and refined. The energy of faith is extremely vast and pure, and its conversion rate is extremely high. It is much stronger than the spiritual energy of heaven and earth currently on earth. Yang Tian benefited immensely. In just a short moment, Yang Tian seemed to have reached a bottleneck. In the Danshan Qi Sea, the 3 layers of original Qi waves had grown to the extreme and began to become restless, as if they were about to explode. The peak of the 3rd level of the divine realm has reached a bottleneck. Break through as soon as possible. Otherwise, even if you don't explode, you will still lose a lot of divine power and cause a waste of resources, Feng Xian warned. Yang Tian was startled. How to break through? In the past, when I played games, I would directly upgrade. He doesn't know how to achieve breakthroughs in cultivation. Condensate the original energy waves of Danshan Qi Sea into an inverted pyramid, with each layer becoming more powerful, Feng Xian said. Yang Tian quickly started to operate, but failed several times in a row, so that a lot of the original divine power was forcibly flowed out of the body in order not to explode, resulting in a waste of resources. Yang Tian felt heartache, but he still couldn't grasp that delicate balance. Don't worry, we'll get it layer by layer. The first is the first level of the inverted pyramid. That represents your cultivation level at the first level of the divine realm, which is only 1/1000th of the original energy wave in your body. The second level represents your cultivation level at the second level of the divine realm, which is 1% of the original energy wave in your body. The third level represents your cultivation level at the third level of the divine realm, which is 1/10 of the original energy wave in your body, Feng Xian continued. Yang Tian was quite smart. After being instructed by Feng Xian, he quickly condensed a 3-story pyramid of inverted air waves in his Danshan air sea. In the Danshan Qi Sea, in addition to this inverted pyramid, there are also nearly 10 times the amount of original Qi waves. Put everything you have into condensing the 4th level, Feng Xian said. Boom. In an instant, all the original energy waves in Yang Tian Danshan's energy sea condensed into an inverted 4-story pyramid of energy waves that was completely black. There is a delicate balance here, which makes the inverted pyramid as stable as a mountain without any trembling or fluctuation. After a while, the inverted pyramid collapsed and transformed into 4 parallel layers of original air waves. 4th level of the divine realm. Yang Tian's eyes lit up and his whole body felt comfortable. He clearly felt that his divine power was 10 times stronger than when he was at the 3rd level of the divine realm. As the divine power becomes stronger, the soul gains, becoming 10 times stronger. After the breakthrough, Yang Tian did not stop his efforts. Because the power of faith has not been completely absorbed, he has already gathered all the energy of faith that belongs to him on the earth. If he does not absorb it at this time, it will be wasted. Therefore, he continued to exercise his power, continued to absorb the energy of faith, and continued to refine it into the original energy. Yang Tian exhaled a breath of turbid air and collected his power. At this time, he had absorbed and refined all the air of faith. Cultivation and improvement. Of course, it is still only the middle stage of the 4th level of the divine realm. The divine realm is a large realm, and the 1st to 9th levels are small realms. The early stage, middle stage, late stage, and peak of each level are not considered realms. There is no specific division and can only be roughly judged. Moreover, the difference between the early stage, middle stage, and late stage of each level is not very big. For example, in the early stage of the first level of the Divine Realm, there is the power of 1 dragon. In the midterm, there will be 2 dragons. In the later stage, there are 3 dragons. The peak is still 3 dragons, but it can be broken through. Once it breaks through the early stage of the second level of the Divine Realm, it will have the power of 10 dragons. The divine powers of the 1st to 9th levels of the Divine Realm have different qualities and naturally have very different powers. As for the initial, middle, late, and peak levels of each level, there is no difference in the quality of divine power. It is just a difference in quantity, and the power of the improvement is not large enough. Generally, a strong person at the 4th level of the Divine Realm has 1000 dragon power in the early stage, 2000 dragon power in the middle stage, and 3000 dragon power in the late stage. Generally, a strong person at the 5th level of the Divine Realm has the power of 10,000 dragons in the early stage, the power of 20,000 dragons in the middle stage, and the power of 30,000 dragons in the late stage. Now, in the middle stage of the 4th level of the Yangtian Divine Realm, he already has the power of 14,000 dragons, which can crush the average strong person in the early stage of the 5th level of the Divine Realm. I didn't expect it would be so difficult to break through. I really don't know how Miyamoto Takeshi and even Kylan broke through, Yang Tian asked in his heart. Is it difficult? Feng Xian sneered. Condensing the inverted pyramid is just a way to break through. As long as you master that balance, it will be the same no matter what you condense. For example, if you condense an arm and condense the nails first, it represents the 1st level of the Divine Realm. Concentrate your fingers again to represent the 2nd level of the Divine Realm. Condensing the palms again represents the 3rd level of the Divine Realm. Finally, by condensing my arms, I will be able to break through to the 4th level of the Divine Realm. It's like painting. It doesn't matter how ugly your painting is. The important thing is balance, Feng Xian said with a smile.